All right, so what is a Hansa? Let's start with this word. The word Hansa was a general term for a group of soldiers, merchants, any group of people really could be a Hansa. But by the 14th century, it was being particularly applied, actually by Scandinavian rulers as much as by Germans, to this particular network which revolved around Lübeck, and also a subsidiary network, which I should mention, which revolved around Cologne. Because, as I said, there were also these inland cities, and to some extent Cologne was the capital of the inland network, being on the river and giving access to the North Sea. So in 1343, the King of Sweden and Norway addressed all the merchants of the Hansa of the Germans. And it's really from that point onwards that people begin to talk of this German Hansa. But they didn't call themselves that, by and large, among themselves, at least on formal occasions. Gradually, they began to use this term Jüdische Hansa, Deutsche Hansa in modern German, German Hansa. But actually, what they wanted to call themselves was merchants of the Roman Empire.
Lübeck had over a few years expanded aggressively, and this was met by disgust from the neighboring countries. You can read in Reinhard's diaries that a lot of effort was now put into developing the country and helping out the starving civilians. Lübeck enjoyed 10 years of peace, and several new trade posts was built strategically around the newly obtained lands to increase the prosperity of the people. Denmark was at this time still strong enough to block Hanseatic trade, and Reinhard mentions on several different occasions that plans to end the tyranny must be forged. It is also mentioned that he still struggled to keep the trade league together, with only Riga, Hamburg and Bremen being trusted members. Reinhard knew that to get a stable league he would have to focus on getting the free cities to join the league instead. The 7th of April 1465, Lübeck sent a formal declaration of war to the state of Verden. This is thought to be a smokescreen made by Reinhard, since Verden only had one ally, Denmark, which always had been the true goal for Reinhard. And since Denmark had an alliance with both Poland and Brandenburg, a direct attack on them would have been suicide. Verden was dealt with swiftly, and with the help of Hamburg and Bremen's armies, Lübeck could push the Danes back to their islands. The war reached a stalemate because of the superior Danish fleet, which made crossing into their islands impossible. During this stalemate, Reinhard was replaced as leader, not because he had done a bad job, but because the republican traditions of changing leaders had been ignored for far too many years. The 10th of January 1470, a peace treaty was signed, and the new ruler, Kurt Pape, was the one who would enjoy the victory over Denmark and the annexation of Stade and Holstein. Kurt was later replaced by the militaristic leader Dieter, who started to work with improving relations with the French kingdom to the west. The 13th January of 1475, an alliance was sealed between Lübeck and France, which meant that Lübeck now had a really strong defensive alliance and a means to remove the impending threat from Poland. 1 year later, the 1st of July 1476, a war that would later be known as the First League War got started when Bavaria attacked the member state Ansbach. The Hanseatic League gathered its armies and defeated the Bavarian intruders in its own country. Ansbach got greedy in the war, however, and demanded lands in the peace deal, forcing Dieter to remove them as members from the league, since only the leader was allowed more than one region. Dieter was replaced by a man called Valentin, and shortly after that Lübeck declared war on East Frisia, a small state that had no allies. Valentin tried to get them to join this league instead, taking the peaceful route, but they refused several times. East Frisia was a region sprawling with trade and an important region to control in the steps to strengthen the Hansa. The 25th December of 1487, Sweden declared war on the Danish alliance, asking for help from Lübeck. Valentin, however, declined, since he knew that they wouldn't be able to beat the Danish alliance by themselves. They would need Hamburg and Bremen too. And by declining the call, Sweden lost the war but weakened the Danes in the process. The 5th of April 1498, Lübeck declared war on Mecklenburg, utilizing the same plan as the last time, avoiding to directly attack Denmark and attack their allies instead. With the help of Bremen and Hamburg, the war reached the same stalemate as the last war against the Danes. This time, however, Lübeck had a navy ready, and Valentin ordered the entire army to attack and siege Lolland, and later proceed to siege the other islands. This is considered one of the most risky moves that Lübeck made during its rise to power, since if the army was lost to the sea, Denmark would have a free passage down to Lübeck and the Hansa would have fallen. The war was long and bloody, and the 31st August of 1501 a peace treaty was signed. It stated that all of Mecklenburg would fall under Lübeck's control and Denmark would have to surrender Lolland. Lübeck was now a force to be reckoned with, but many hardships still remained. Thanks for watching this second episode of my Lübeck playthrough. If you like what you see, be sure to comment, like and subscribe, and if you didn't, I'm sorry I wasted your time. My fiancé has promised to narrate the next episode and I'm really looking forward to that. So I will see you next time. Fullbordad. Bye.